He received a pretty clear signal from the sideline like this, which means the clock is going. He interpreted that meaning run the play. Took his eyes away. Victory was signaled in right after that. Got hurt. So miscommunication, and I'm responsible for anything that happens when one of our guys gets hurt. Either the carries lessen or we become more risk aversive at the end of sliding and dodging contact, etc. But
BYU head coach Bronco Mendenhall from just a few moments ago as they wrapped up practice today, getting the news that Taysom Hill's season is over with the torn LCL in his left knee. BYUtv football analyst Blaine Fowler still with us here, and react to what you hear the coach saying. Brandon Doman's taking the blame. You hear Bronco Mendenhall taking the blame.
It sounded like they originally, the signal that went out was, hey, the clock's going, so it's time to go. And so he's a young quarterback, and he turns, and just then he's focused on what he's going to do and run that play. And then they realize as they look up the clock, wait a minute, victory formation. When he says victory, that's victory formation, kneel on the ball, but it was too late and they were already running the play. And that's a shame that on that kind of a play he gets hurt when he didn't need to. And then interesting, at the end he talks about, do they have to take a different strategy in terms of what they're doing with the quarterbacks? They need to ask these guys to slide. And the problem you have with that is, especially with Riley Nelson, that's who he is. He's a guy that gets out there and runs the football and does all that. If you start telling him to stand in the pocket and slide and do all that, I'm not sure he's as effective as he is when he's just running around.
Well, against Oregon State last year, he ran around all over the place, and they got a big win on the road. We'll see what happens Saturday.
Yeah, and he threw the ball well in that game. So,
all right. This week marks the, here's the an update of the situation from today, just to get you posted on it. A torn LCL in the left knee, out for the season, going to require some surgery, take 4 to 6 months to heal, and surgery scheduled as early as next week. The immediate future for the freshman Taysom Hill. All right, this is the halfway point of the season, and we're going to pass out some awards. These aren't the Blaney's. These are the mid-season awards.
It has to be a whole season to do Blaney's.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with our offensive MVP, and it's Cody Hoffman. He's been the most consistent player on this offense all year.
All right, on the defensive side, it's hard to go against Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah, so many big plays, and you see the solo tackles and the 10.5 tackles for loss. The big play guy we give the defensive MVP to.
A Y factor for this team, a guy that you didn't quite expect to make so much noise.
Yeah, Ziggy Ansah, that's why we call him the Y factor. I mean, we had no idea, and he has become more and more dominant every single game. He is a beast on the D-line.
And your unsung hero, who was on the show just a short time ago.
Yeah, you have to go with Brandon Ogletree, and you could make a case for him for the defensive player of the year as he leads this team in tackles again this year. Mr. Consistent in the middle, making all the plays, and every game he leads this team in tackles, it seems like.
Top 10 team in town to kick off the second half of the season. Speaking of Oregon State at LaVell Edwards Stadium on Saturday afternoon, who should we be watching for?
Well, Marcus Wheaton and Brandon Cooks, two very explosive wide receivers, great with the ball in the open field. Wheaton is a senior, Cooks is just a sophomore, and you got to be careful with him when he gets in the open field. Look at that per catch average. And then a new guy, Cody Vaz, is the backup quarterback. We mentioned that Mannion, their starter, is out. He hurt his knee handing the football off to the running back.
It's a very physical game.
Non-contact injury. And so here comes Vaz, who hasn't played since his freshman year, and we got to watch and see how he does.
No completions for Vaz, no passes attempted in the last 2 years.
For BYU, Cody Hoffman, of course, he's on a roll after last game, and then Brandon Ogletree. He's got to have a solid game, shut down that run game for Oregon State, and I think BYU's defense is going to be in good shape in this one.